like it did feel a bit like, I guess is what we're talking about today, is when when you're a guy and you have a lot of demons you're fighting, and you get your girl, and your girl is the one that becomes your therapist. And then you start offloading everything. That's what it felt like. So in the conversation, it didn't feel like somebody who had dealt with all the trauma that they're dealing with, like in terms of unpacking it. It felt like it almost felt, and I know it's not, but it felt like it was almost the first time he's kind of unpacked it all onto someone. And then that one person is a black woman. And it could have just been, again, this could have just been, um, this just could have been, uh, you know, um, this could have been, I guess, me being looking too deep into it, but it almost felt like he was just dumping all the trauma on her, because unlike people who have actually gone through the work, the way they explain it, they unpack it. So when they're giving it to somebody else, it's not so raw and so dense, but it felt so raw and so dense, and then it's dumped onto someone who's meant to be interviewing him, and that person also then became the black woman. So it's like metaphorically, it almost felt like, you know what, you're now doing the very thing we're saying you shouldn't be doing, which is making black women the rehabilitation center. And that's what I'm saying metaphorically, what I was kind of seeing. Doesn't mean necessarily that's what it was. Yeah.
No, I think
So
that was 100% what it was. And I think we've seen this a lot in dating shows and stuff that we watched where non-black women get the light version of men, of black men. They get the whirlwind romance. They get this and that, right? But they don't get the real because that's not necessarily where a lot of black men feel the most comfortable. And then they get in front of a black woman where they feel the most safe and the most comfortable, and then they're dumping. And so no, I don't think you're wrong about that at all. What I took away from the interview is that no couples therapy would have worked between Jeanni and Jeezy, because in their particular situation, Jeezy needs true individual therapy that would take time. And you can't sometimes do that while you're also doing couples therapy. I think some of the stuff that he had to work through was individualistic. The stuff, his process, the way he detaches from people that he cares about, all of the people that he's seen come and go, you know? And I was talking about this with my husband and just talking about like my family members who didn't grow up necessarily like me. And they grew up in the South Side, and how many people that they have seen unfortunately die, right? And the way they interact with people is not the way I interact with people. Everyone is transient. Everyone can be here today, gone tomorrow, right? The you don't feel the need to stick around and work it out with people because life has been just such a crazy, chaotic place. What I took from Jeezy is that even the way he dealt with his own mother's death is that although he has some traits where he keeps people around maybe too long, or he has some um, toxic attachment styles. What I also got from him is that because of what he's been through, he doesn't feel the need, or he doesn't know how to stick around and work out relationships because of the way relationships have been in his life. The relationships probably with his children that I don't even think he talks to like that. His children's mother, his mother, the family members. So you cannot enter into a marriage where your number one job is to show up every single day and work things out every single day. And if you have had zero practice with sticking around and working things out every single day, you are not prepared to be married. It doesn't matter what Jeanni came with. Jeanni came with stuff. But what I do know is I believe that she was prepared to work it out with him and work through some of her. Let's say everything is true, right? She can't be led. She talks back. She got all the family members in the house. She doing this and that. What I believe in my heart is that she was prepared to go through that with him, right? I don't believe he knows how to do that. And I think that comes from sometimes when you're with each other for some superficial reason. Because I've thought about this. I think Jeanni and Jeezy got together, had a whirlwind romance, and got married throughout this whirlwind romance phase based on things that probably weren't as deep as they needed to go. And then when things got real, I'm not sure that because of the cultural differences, that Jeannie was the easiest person for Jeezy to relate to and to dump the things that he kind of dumped on Nia. I wonder how transparent and vulnerable he was, you know? And I wonder vice versa, was Jeannie able to relate to him? I'm not sure. But I don't think a lot of people understand that if you do not have basic conflict resolution skills, and I mean like learning how to work things out with people, and you can practice that with your mother, your father, your siblings, your friends. I know we're going to talk about that in a later live about us working through disagreements and things that we've gone through. There's so many times we can be like, hey, you're across the pond, Sean's in New York, Jay's in LA, I ain't gotta talk to these people no more. That's easy. That's easy. But you have to work through things if people matter to you. And I think a lot of times people do not know how to work through things, and then they want to get married in a whirlwind romance and think that's going to work. No. Marriage is showing up every single day. Every single day. And saying, you done got on my nerves. I have my issues that I came with. You have your issues that you came with. Let's try to work with it together. If it's not a couple's problem, you go work through that crap over there. I'm going to go work through this over here, and we're going to try again every day. And he did not, I don't believe he did that. And I think for that was not fair to Jeannie. That was not fair. I'm not saying she's a victim, but I'm saying that part. Everyone had a part, but that part. Because when you stand up on that altar, and maybe it's her fault that she didn't know that he wasn't prepared. I'm not sure. But when you stand up there on that altar, you are really making a commitment to at least work things out, at least try to process through and not run. And I don't know if he has maybe he didn't have the capacity to do that, so it doesn't matter, maybe the capacity is lacking, so we just should all just, but yeah.
So I'll give not a pushback. I'll give an addition to say I want to be fair to also Jeezy and say that whilst I do believe he's rebranding, and I do believe he's there's a lot of pandering that he's doing as well at the moment, I would say in regards to himself and to himself and Jeannie, I think that he might have wanted to exit early, but I think because he saw some signs that he knew he couldn't deal with. Now, this should have been dealt with before they got married, personally, right? I personally think he should have dealt with this before they got married, because you would have seen some signs. But I think Jeezy got into a relationship with Jeannie Mai, liked her spiciness, liked her, a little bit of energy that she gave, etc., right? But when it got into the marriage and there was now no place to run, it actually highlighted